7 days from right now, I expect to see our text line blowing up with your upset picks in the very first week of the Upset Picks Challenge here in 2025. It's Wire to Wire. He's Cole Bryson. My name is Diesel, and I got that itch, man. It might be because the folks at the coffee shop that I stopped at on the way here gave me one size and one shot of espresso too much. But
nothing wrong with that, though.
Itching, my friend.
Nothing
itching
wrong
to do
with
Sports
that.
Talk Radio today.
You listen. That's always an added. If they got your order wrong and it were like less than what you asked for, it's a problem. If they get your order wrong and it's more than you asked for, you're golden.
Well, I also feel like I could run laps around this building right now.
You want to?
Yeah.
It'd make for really good content. If you want to just completely stop the show.
There he goes again.
Look, we can forget the rundown that we have. Really, we'll go outside and see how long Diesel can run around the building until he dies or passes out.
Wow. No, I don't know if I can get around the building because that side over there has an alligator-filled moat. It has barbed wire. I can horseshoe back and forth around the building, but I don't think I can get all the way around.
You put gators in there, by the way?
No, they live there.
Oh, okay.
They're toxic gators because that's a runoff pond on that side of the building. Welcome into the show, Tolos, and you 27 who are already watching the stream. Jason Santelli already getting in. He's watching on Facebook. He says, Clemson Tigers in the Natty.
Oh, wow.
Gamecock fans, are you going to take that from Jason here to start the show? Dewey says, welcome to the show, Dewey. We appreciate you being there. Jump into the stream on Facebook, on Twitter, or on YouTube. Great new feature we have there. Now all of your comments show up on the screen. You can still only, if you're looking in the little chat window, you can only see people who are commenting on the same platform as you.
Yeah.
Well, now if you're watching on the screen, you can see everybody who's commenting across all platforms that we're streaming on.
Real quick, I want to go back to something you said a minute ago with the coffee that you had, with the extra shots that you're wanting to run laps. I had a buddy of mine tell me last night, and I want to know if you agree, not to get off topic here, that I drink too many energy drinks, that I'm going to either have a heart attack or, have something wrong with me. I know that coffee's different, but, I mean, are we to the point where we're having to cut back? Am I to that age yet? You're a little older than I am.
I think you really got to start taking your health care seriously. At what age are you?
29.
28. That's when you got to start taking
so
it
I'm
seriously.
too late?
Probably.
Well, I'm cutting.
Yeah, damage is done.
Look, I've lost some weight, but I drink like Diesel. No kidding. I drink 1 or 2 sugar-free Red Bulls every day, and I know that's probably like not terrible.
What's in it's probably worse for you than sugar.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not sugar, so I don't know. Now that you said that, I'm starting to worry a little bit. I'm starting to worry about my energy drink consumption.
Well, speaking of worrying, Cole, here in this opening segment of the show, we're going to get into 3 teams, and I'll give mine. You can give yours. You can agree or disagree with me. That's fine. 3 teams that are currently overrated in the AP Top 25 preseason poll that will tumble and fall outside of the top 25 at some point this season. To be overrated, you have to be highly rated. We're not talking about Boise State, who's sitting at 25. If they fall out, it's no big deal. They're sitting at 25. They're right there on that edge.
Yeah, they're overrated. Boise State, kick them out because they're a G5. They've got to go because they lost Ashton Jeanty. They got to go. I like this. This is going to make me think a little bit.
You got to start thinking, all right, who in that top 25 is safe? Partly because they're really, really good, partly because, their schedule sets up very nicely for them, or because they've got a lot of brand value. And you know as well as I do, the AP poll, and later on in the season, once we get to the CFP, they don't kick big brands out of the top 25. They want as many of those in there they can get.
And by the way, for all of those already on the stream that are sending their predictions in for the Natty, we're doing that at 4 p.m. on the show today, 4 o'clock. Diesel and we've done it all week. We've done Panthers, Clemson, South Carolina. It's prediction week, and we'll give our national championship picks at 4.
Love it. So teams, Cole, that I think right now are safe, that, you look kind of crystal ball towards the end of the season. These teams are going to be there.
Not
still
overrated,
inside the top 25.
Saying.
They're not overrated.
Okay.
These teams are just fine. They're really good. They're actually good. They're not just hyped for no reason. And they probably it's not 100% because nothing is ever 100%. Teams that we think have a really, really strong case to have sticking power and stay inside that top 25 all season long.
Yeah.
I'm rolling with Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, and Miami.
Okay. So they are, when you say safe, they are safe from a couple of things.
Falling
probably,
out of the top 25.
Which would entail that they're, in your mind, not overrated, right? That's how this is working. Okay.
They are not overrated.
So you're saying the following: Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, Miami. If they're, by the way, they're all top 25 teams. They're not overrated.
They're not overrated.
Okay.
Or they have a really favorable schedule.
Yeah.
Miami might be overrated. They might be overrated, but they've got such a cakewalk schedule this year that it's almost impossible to screw that up.
All right, so let's go one at a time. Texas, okay. Are they overrated? Are they safe or unsafe? So I don't think they're overrated. Let me be very clear. But I also, Diesel, in the same breath, might believe that we are hyping Texas up a little too much. They're unbelievably talented. I mean, they at every position, they're probably on paper as talented as anybody. But, the reality is there's a kid who has the last name Manning that we really don't know what he'll do as a full-time starter, that we are buying a lot of stock in. And if it works out, great. But I'm just saying, it wouldn't surprise me, Diesel, if Texas dropped a game or two early that they weren't supposed to. Maybe not two, but we'll see.
So here's how. And again, we're not talking about falling 2 spots, and that means they've fallen. We're talking about falling out of the top 25.
Right. So they're safe.
And that means by the end of the season, you got to be at 500, maybe a game over 500, and that'll probably push you out.
Yeah.
They are on the road at Ohio State to start the season. San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston, at Florida, Oklahoma, at Kentucky, at Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, at Georgia, Arkansas, Texas A&M. Do they have more than 3 tough opponents all season long?
Not really.
At Ohio State, obviously we know that that's a 1-3 matchup.
Yeah.
On the road at Florida, maybe Florida will be really good this year. We think they have a good chance of being really good this year. Oklahoma, don't know. They were crap last year.
I'd bet on them, especially quarterback.
At Georgia, hosting Texas A&M. They've got 4, maybe 5 legitimately tough games this year.
So what you're doing is you're saying of the SEC teams, Texas might have one of the more favorable schedules.
They got an easy
Yesterday,
draw.
Diesel, we did Phil Steele's 2025 toughest. You know where Texas is on that? Guess. Take a guess.
Middle of the top 20 or so.
16.
Okay.
16. So
tough, but not brutally grueling.
I just think that if you look at their schedule, they get past if they get past Ohio State. Where's another loss at? Where do you find November 15th?
Yeah, at Georgia.
I mean, that's the next possible loss.
But think about this. They will easily handle San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston, should easily handle Kentucky, should easily handle Mississippi State.
Yeah.
I know last year with Diego Pavia, that was a wild time to be alive. Should easily handle Vanderbilt, should easily handle Arkansas. That's 7 wins right there.
Yeah.
At worst,
they're the safest. They're the safest out of all of the teams. I'll say this. Look, maybe the Florida game at Florida is a little tricky. By the way, this is their first trip to the Swamp in 85 years. Think about that. Texas's first trip to the Swamp in 85 years. So maybe they forget how to get there, and they're late and tired, and they are a little bit lackadaisical.
They remember the days when you had to build a raft and ford through the swamps just to get to the swamp.
Yeah.
Oregon Trail style.
No, I'm with you on Texas. Penn State's an interesting one because of their schedule and talent. Diesel, I would change my tune and say Penn State's the safest of the safe. I think they are very safe. Ohio State's very safe. I'm going to skip that one. Georgia is very safe. Notre Dame, Oregon. Here's the only one that's interesting. Of your safe. You know which one I skipped, didn't you? You know what? Did you notice?
You skipped Alabama, didn't you?
No, I skipped Clemson.
You skipped Clemson.
So let's take a wild trip to Clemson and have this conversation.
Notre Dame, by the way, for the sake of argument here, has the number 22 strength of schedule.
Yeah, I think they're safe. in terms of falling out. So why I would say Clemson, yes, to your point, they're safe. I don't think they're unsafe, but I would say, Diesel, of the safe teams that you listed, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the 9 teams that you listed as safe of not falling out of the 25 or the top 25, I'd say Clemson's is the least safe of the safe.
See, I can't say I agree with that at all.
Well, here's why.
Given their conference slate, yeah, they may look bad against LSU. Even if they get boat raced by LSU by 28 points, they're going to fall to like 15.
What if they go in 2 weeks and then lose in Atlanta?
That's not happening.
You don't think so?
That's not happening.
Okay, so what if they lose on a Friday night to Louisville and then 2 weeks later lose to South Carolina at South Carolina?
Given LSU the only other loss, or what are we saying there?
I'm just saying Clemson's the unsafest of the safes because, like, if we were to, and again, to have this conversation where we're having to say what could go wrong. Like, what's the worst thing that could go wrong?
They've got some of the biggest opportunity for bad losses here. If they lose, like you said, on the road at Georgia Tech, or on the road at North Carolina, or against SMU, or on the road at Louisville on a Friday night, especially if they look bad. I mean, they have lots of opportunities for bad losses, whereas a lot of these teams in the SEC, you lose an SEC game, it's not considered a bad loss because you're still losing in the toughest conference.
But if they have a bad loss or two, what's that tell you? That tells you the team's not as good as we thought they were going to be, which means they could have another bad loss. So let's just say, for worst case scenario, they lose to LSU. And it doesn't look good, Diesel. Okay, they weren't really competitive. 2 weeks later, obviously they're going to beat Troy. 2 weeks later, they go to Atlanta, Georgia. Georgia Tech gets them. Now Clemson's lost 2 of their first 3.
Are they falling out of the top 25,
though?
Well,
they might not right then, but if I tell you, Diesel, that they've lost to Georgia Tech and LSU, wouldn't you say, maybe this team's not as good as we thought? Okay, then.
Yeah, but that's where I think brand value sustains them a little bit. That's where they make up. If they lose 2 in the first 3 weeks to LSU and Georgia Tech, they've still got Syracuse, a North Carolina team that's got 104 transfers, Boston College. After that, they have opportunities to win games, to maybe build back a little bit of that credibility. South Carolina fans will never give them any of that. No. I know that. But the AP
teams.
Voters will say, oh, okay, they've righted the ship. They put up 65 points against Boston College.
Yeah.
So all of this, Cole, kind of gets us back onto the point here of teams that are inside that highly touted range, that 15 and up range, that actually are at risk, who are at real risk of falling outside of the top 25. A team that brings back a lot of guys, and I don't know how you feel about this team. I don't know if you spent a lot of time thinking about this team. Bring back a ton of dudes off the team from last year, 17 starters as a matter of fact. But I think they're going to have a really tough road this year, much tougher than it was last year. The Arizona State Sun Devils, who jump from last year's 69th toughest strength of schedule to the 39th toughest strength of schedule. Again, it's not a massive jump into the top 10. However, they're going to be facing a much tougher road than they did last year, even in their own conference.
So I think it was last week, you and I were having the conversation with Arizona State, Diesel. Here's the reality. You say, maybe I don't truly know what this team's capable of. I'll tell you this. I think they can win their conference. I think they could. Again, 11-3 a season ago. They bring back 8 guys on offense, 9 on defense. I mean, would we be shocked, Diesel, if Arizona State won the Big 12? I mean, no, I wouldn't be. I mean, right now, you can't just say there's an overwhelming favorite for one of these teams in this conference to win the conference. It wouldn't surprise me. And in fact, if I had a pick today, I'd probably say Arizona State does win the conference. So you're putting them as –
think about it this way. Last year, they were winning games close, right? They had a lot of really close games. 7-point win versus Mississippi State. 3-point win against Texas State. 8 points against Texas Tech. Close game against Kansas. Close game against Utah. Close game against Cincinnati. Close game against UCF. This was not some world beater team. Yeah, they won 11 games last year. Yeah, they made the playoff, but they were barely squeaking by the teams that were on their schedule at the 69th toughest strength of schedule. This year, they jumped to 39.
Yeah, they don't have Cam Scatterbo back either.
Also true.
Right.
Also true.
But I do like the quarterback. I do think Sam Leavitt, Diesel, will be one of the better quarterbacks in college football. And that means something, right? And especially if you think about it from the perspective of Arizona State going against those teams that you just named off, wouldn't you bet, Diesel, that when Arizona State plays those teams, they're going to have the better quarterback in just about every game? Just about every game, Sam Leavitt's going to be the better quarterback. That means a lot to me. Do I think they just run roughshod on this conference and beat everybody by 30? No. It might be like last year where they're, winning close games, but I do believe now that Sam Leavitt's, a year older, I like that. And I think their schedule's just weak. Their schedule's weak to me.
It's weak, but it's stronger than it was.
Yeah. Baylor will be tricky, right? Mm-hmm. TCU maybe. Texas Tech maybe. At Iowa State will be tricky. And then at Colorado. So it's an interesting team to watch. I'll say that.
JD brings up the next one that I was going to bring up on my list. Says, pains me to say it, but the South Carolina Gamecocks are in that category. Preseason number 13. Yeah. You and I both we truly believe that South Carolina is going to have a strong season. I think we both had them listed at 8-4. Is that right? 8-4 kind of season?
8-4. I wouldn't call it strong, but yeah.
Strong for – it sounds bad. God, I almost said it out loud. It sounds bad to say it. Strong for them. A strong season for South Carolina in a really tough conference. But you know as well as I do, things can go off the rails. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen, but there's a really good chance that this South Carolina team rises up into that top 10 through their first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. And after they hit that LSU game, when it's 100%. Brutal, they could go on a losing streak and fall out of this top 25, especially if they screw up and lose a game at Missouri or at home against Kentucky.
It's just like we talked about yesterday. To this point, with top 25 Diesel, they have an opportunity to, like you said, climb that ladder in the first 5 weeks with Virginia Tech, South Carolina State, Vandy, Mizzou, and Kentucky. But just as quickly as they climb that ladder, the problem is after that bye week on October 4th, the LSU game, by the way, at LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss, A&M, and Clemson, and they're 5 of the last 6 weeks, they could drop like a rock. So I would say, I think South Carolina, in terms of dropping out, is probably the most unsafe right now. That bottom half of the schedule, it's just you're going to find if they somehow, some way were to go 5-0 to start. I still think that says a lot about the team, a really good team, especially with a road win at Mizzou. But you're right, they could drop and drop quick.
And my final one for you, I know we don't have a ton of time to debate this one. I got Florida. They're preseason number 15. Everybody's hype on DJ Lagway, as am I. They got a really, really tough strength of schedule this year. They start out easy against Long Island and USF, but then they go on the road at LSU and at Miami, bye week. Then it's Texas and Texas A&M. We're talking about a team that could be 2-4 after 6 weeks.
Is that the drink?
And they're out of the top 25.
August 30th. Can we call that the Drink Bowl, since you got one team who made Gatorade famous and you've got one who made Long Island tea, right? I mean, maybe that's the drink. 8-5 a season ago. The problem is with the schedule, they start out tough. And what I mean is you've got LSU and Texas in the first 6 games, 5 games. So yeah, I could see them dropping, but boy, their schedule just sets up so differently than Carolina because they don't have that 5-game stretch where they could go 5-0.
And it also matters how healthy DJ Lagway really is.
Oh yeah, 100%. But look at the schedule. Florida's not going 5-0. Like there's no chance to start the season. No. The conversation with them is a little bit different, but we'll see. I think we could be. I think we could be right on a lot of these. We shall see. Diesel, we talked about this yesterday. The SoCon got a new member in its conference. That's right, a conference that we follow very closely because of the teams located in our area. We'll also take our first look at what Furman will look like in 2025. Dan Scott joins the show next. this Saturday. Dan Scott, play-by-play voice of the Furman Paladins, joins the show right here on the Fan Upstate. Dan, what was your instant reaction? You may have known before we did with you being in the know, but Tennessee Tech, new member to the SoCon. Dan Scott's reaction was?
I like it. I really do. I think it's a great fit from an athletic standpoint. I mean, our schools have recently been playing Tennessee Tech anyway. We played in football there a couple of years ago. We've played basketball there at Furman. So I think there are 10,000-ish attended school number of students. And look, here's the reality. And the commissioner of the Southern Conference was very vocal about this in the football kickoff, or I guess late last month, that, the SoCon is really one of the last remaining conferences at any level that plays a true round robin in its football schedule. And all of the other conferences at the FCS level, the CAA, the conferences out west, the conference at North Dakota State and South Dakota, in all those conferences, their best teams don't play each other on a yearly basis. And in fact, even if they won't admit it, you can look at their scheduling model and see that they intentionally schedule to protect their upper echelon teams inside the conference. And at the SoCon, we don't do that. So the question is, how long can we continue not to do that? I think that we're looking at the beginning of a more aggressive push. I don't have any inside information about that, but I think that we're looking at the beginning of a more aggressive push to add more teams to the Southern Conference so we can get a scheduling model that basically mirrors what's going on in the other conferences and try to advance more teams. I mean, the fact that we got, was it one team in the playoffs last year was ludicrous, was absolutely ludicrous. So I like Tennessee Tech. One of my best friends in the world is an alum of Tennessee Tech. He is a longtime football coach down in Titusville, Florida. He was excited about the move, and I talked to him about it yesterday. So I think it's going to end up being good for the conference. I really do.
Talking to Dan Scott, Furman play-by-play voice here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Would you guess, the strategy of the Southern Conference has, over the last 15 years or so, replacing some of the departing members, really been kind of invite schools that look like the schools they already had. There were a handful of the larger public institutions like Western and Chattanooga and East Tennessee State, but they kind of went down the avenue of inviting smaller private schools. Do you think part of the strategy from Commissioner Cross here is to bring that back the other direction and add more big public schools that will, hopefully have bigger budgets and better football?
I think that any further expansion is going to be football driven. And I think that, while you're not going to see somebody who totally, from a public institution enrollment wise, blow everybody out of the roster, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of those type of schools. And I think you're also going to see the conference do its best to try to keep a regional footprint. And I think that's one of the reasons why the SoCon has remained so successful and so viable compared to other conferences, is that the regional footprint is such that the longest trip between the southernmost team and the northernmost team, Samford and VMI respectively, is about 9 hours. And that's it. So, Tennessee Tech, Cookeville, Tennessee, from where we sit in Greenville, you're looking at maybe 5 hours-ish. So I think if you see further expansion, you're going to see it stay kind of within that regional footprint. But I expect that this is just the first of maybe 2 or 3 other dominoes that'll fall. And then when you look at the SoCon, I mean, you kind of mentioned it, the dichotomy of this league is unlike again, many other leagues, because you have the public schools, you have the private schools like Furman, Wofford, Samford, although Samford acts more like a public school athletically than it does a private school. And then you've got 2 military academies on top of that. So the range and varying differences in the programs inside the conference is already pretty interesting. So, and this is speculation on my part, if they were to add 2 or 3 more football playing teams, then could you have divisions that are more where you have Furman and the other private schools or similar schools in one division and the more public schools in another? I don't know. But the SoCon is nothing if not eclectic when it comes to its makeup.
Dan, in 2025, Furman has 5 quarterbacks on their roster. Everybody that wants to know, just in general, regardless of if it's Furman or someone else, who the quarterback is going to be. Obviously, Furman returns Trey Hedden from last season when he was a freshman, and 5 other quarterbacks. One of those is a senior, one's a freshman, a redshirt junior, and a redshirt sophomore. What do you make of Trey Hedden's sophomore season compared to some of the freshman mistakes you saw him make last year, and how big of a difference maker you think he could be if he's the guy throughout the entire course of the season for the Paladins in 2025?
Well, even though he was learning on the fly last year, I know from talking to Justin Roper, the offensive coordinator, that nobody in the quarterback room spent more time studying film, spent more time picking the brain of Justin Roper and doing everything he could from that standpoint to be as good as he could be, learn as much as he can learn. And so he was doing that basically from day one. And while he had some really good moments and he had some really, really bad moments, he has, according to Justin Roper, that quarterback brain, the mentality, the mindset, and the desire to be better. Well, on top of that, he's remade his body. He's lost between 12 and 15 pounds. He has gained strength that you would expect after a full year plus in the program now, going through the weight training. And he has obviously significantly greater knowledge of the offense, of everything else. But the thing that really jumps out in talking to Justin just a couple of weeks ago about Trey now, last year, he really couldn't be a leader as a freshman quarterback because he was trying to learn everything and for a lot of the season was drinking out of the proverbial fire hose. Both Justin and Clay Hendricks have told me that he has a presence in the huddle now that he didn't have last year. And that he, as a sophomore, that leadership is starting to really manifest itself, and his teammates are starting to respond to it. You got Carson Jones, who's a senior, who has started in this program before. He is best, I think, coming off the bench. And then, the third string guy is a redshirt sophomore named Newell Garcia, who has a world of talent. There's just no place for him to play right now. But unless something totally out of the ordinary happens, this is going to be Trey Hedden's team. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how much he has improved from last year to this year.
Dan, obviously the defense was a bit of a bugaboo for this team for a majority of last season. The offense, again, you said with a young quarterback wasn't bad. They were averaging about 20 points a game. But the defense, unfortunately, was giving up about 14 more points than the offense was scoring. So are we going to see those scales tipped a little bit this year? The offense should be a little bit better. Is the defense, do you think, going to be able to come along in a similar fashion?
Well, it better, number one. But number two, the biggest issue that we had on that side of the ball, and even to a great extent on the offensive side of the ball last year, well, it was two things. You go back and look at the roster in 22 and 23 when we had the 2 great runs. It was really overloaded with a lot of veteran players who had extra years because of COVID. Last year wasn't that, so there wasn't as much depth. Well, then you lose your two starting safeties before game one ever was played in practice for the year. And that started a spiral where there were 13 or 14 players who missed significant time last year. At least 8 of them, if memory serves, missed the entire season. Most of that was on the defensive side of the ball. And young guys who were 3rd and 4th on the depth chart when fall camp began were suddenly thrust into roles where they had to start or play significant snaps when they weren't ready to do so, and they weren't expected to do so until the injuries hit. So what's happened now is all of the injured players are healthy. You've got those guys who, again, were drinking out of the fire hose on the fly last year, having that year of experience under their belt, bigger, faster, stronger now. So the front line is better, the depth is better. And then in Furman's limited ability to go into the portal, it's not something they can do a lot of, but they can go get some grad players and they can go get the occasional undergrad. One thing they've been able to do is go get some help for the secondary. And I think when you look at the secondary this year compared to what it was a year ago, if it plays out like I think it's going to, it's going to be night and day. Now they got to go out and execute. The defensive front has to be better, which I think it's going to be. It has to be deeper, which I think it's going to be. But you watch Furman's back end defensively this year, and I'll be shocked if it's not one of the best in the conference, if not at the country at the FCS level.
Dan, when it comes to running the ball for the Furman Paladins, some of that youth and inexperience you talk about, same thing with the running back position, right? Gavin Hall was a freshman a season ago. He's coming back a sophomore. He was the second leader in terms of yardage for the Furman Paladins, but really just couldn't get the ground game going in the way they wanted to a season ago. Do you see that more on the youth that you talked about at the running back position, 8 now on the roster in 2025, or did some of that in your mind have to do with the guys up front?
It was a collective failure.
Okay.
And that's basically the way Clay Hendricks described it. That's my phraseology. But he and I talked about that in an interview I did inside Furman Athletics with him that's available for people to go see. We just did it on Monday, so it's at Furman's YouTube page. You can find it anywhere. And we talk about the lack of a running game. It's, the offensive line had to be better. The running backs had to be better. And Trey Hedden had to be better. What you kind of forget about a little bit is you go back the 2 previous seasons when you had Tyler Huff at quarterback. He had a unique skill set, that saw him be the SoCon Player of the Year in 2023, and then last year go play for Rich Rodriguez at Jacksonville State in his final year of eligibility, a graduate year, and be the Conference Player of the Year as well, because of his ability to run the football, make decisions on the fly like that. Well, that's not Trey Hedden's game. They couldn't ask him to do that last year. And so Clay said very bluntly, they did not have an offensive identity last year. So what's their offensive identity? They want to run the football. They want to be really good in the play action pass game, but to do that, you've got to run it successfully. He says that the offensive line right now is poised to be, if everything plays out right, and that's a big if, the offensive line is poised to be better and deeper than it's been probably in 2 or 3 seasons. And he likes the depth in the running back room led by Gavin Hall. And I tell you, there's kind of an X factor here, guys, that I'm really excited to see how much he can play. But 2 years ago, Jaquan Smith just had his knee totally obliterated. He had to have full reconstructive surgery of his knee. And initially they said it was likely he would never play football again. It's taken him 2 seasons to fully recover from that, but he is back at practice. And from what I'm told, is actually looking pretty good. Now, how much of a factor will he be? I don't know, but the depth in the running back room is better now than it's been probably in 4 or 5 seasons. He could be an X factor. Gavin Hall is a do-everything guy. You mentioned him out of the backfield. I know there's a freshman that they're real high on. And look, I know I'm trending on the positive side of everything here. A lot's going to have to go right for this team to reverse course from last year's 3-8 season. But the last two times Furman has gone 3-8, the next year they've come back and not only made the playoffs, but won a playoff game. And that was 2012 to 2013, and then 2018 to 2019, I believe, or one of the years in Clay Hendricks' tenure.
Talking to Dan Scott at Dan Scott Show on Twitter is where you can find him and go give him a follow. Dan, I remember about 5 weeks ago watching a video where a box full of Furman merchandise showed up on John Gruden's desk. He opens the thing up. He goes through every piece of merchandise. He's rattling off stats and players and all kinds of great stuff about Furman. I'm wondering who's responsible for that on Furman's end of things. And number two, is it even measurable, the amount of attention and web traffic, et cetera, that Furman gets from that video?
Well, it would have to be a coordinated effort. But Bryce, our equipment manager, would have been the one ultimately responsible for getting all that stuff to him. As far as whose brainchild it was, I don't really know. But I know that while Clay and the coaching staff, they don't spend a whole lot of time on social media, they've got people on their grad assistant staff and stuff like that who do. So, kudos to them for coming up with that and getting that to Coach Gruden. As for the impact, it got Furman in front of a lot of eyes. It certainly did. Will the university take advantage of that? I think that's a fair question to ask.
Dan, you're the best. Always appreciate you, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Dan Scott, play-by-play voice of the Furman Paladins. Yeah, I think he's right. I think he was very positive, but I also say, Diesel, teams that are usually consistently as good as Furman, you don't have a 3-win season and then turn around the next year and have another 2 or 3-win season. I think they'll bounce back. Yeah,
I mean, it shows the power of standard at a school like that. It's a tough place, and how many times does Clay Hendricks tell us, look, the academic standards here are tough, so it's hard to get elite-level athletes to choose Furman when there are other opportunities that may be easier scholastically for them. But again, having standards and doing things the right way, some years it's going to pop, some years it's not, but hopefully you're kind of right there in that 7, 8, 9 win type of stretch. And anything could happen at that point. When we come back, let's take our whip around the sports world, see what else is happening out there in a segment we call our Daily Wires. This segment is kind of like putting all of the sports world into a blender, making a delicious margarita of sports. It's our Daily Wires, the buzz happening around the sports world. Bottom of the second right now, Irmo, South Carolina holds a 2-0 lead against Braintree, Massachusetts in the Little League World Series opening round. Congratulations to them. It's not over yet, but still, they got bottom of the second, 2 runners on, and it looks like no outs. Irmo could bust this game wide open.
Hopefully so. How about him?
Speaking of winning, Atlanta beat New York last night. The Mets by a score of 11-6. We have audio of a grand slam hit during the game.
The only bad thing about this is, like, if I'm the play-by-play guy that you're about to hear, I'm upset that it happened the way it did, Diesel, because it wasn't an epic grand slam call.
Oh.
Here's what I mean.
Michael Harris, straightaway center field. Keep going. Is it a grand slam? You bet it's not. It's off the wall. I thought it hit beyond the fence. It did. Nick Marley, the second base umpire, he saw it like we did. It hit off the black portion above the wall. It is a grand slam for Michael Harris.
So how bad of luck do you have that you get a grand slam call added to your resume? And actually, we think it's a grand slam, but we really don't know if it's a grand slam.
That's terrible. You may not get more than a handful of those opportunities in a career.
Yeah.
I think the way to do it is call it as a grand slam, and if it's wrong, be like, oops, psych, not today.
Yeah, just kidding about that. Actually, wasn't the grand slam.
Bryce Elder is on the mound for Atlanta tonight against the Mets. First pitch, 7-10. It was just 6 weeks ago on July 3rd that the LA Dodgers held a 9-game lead in the NL West with their 12th division title in 13 years right there in front of them. They've since won only 12 of 23 games. Now, after being swept by the neighboring LA Angels, the Dodgers find themselves in second place behind the Padres.
Do you sound the alarm?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, do you sound the alarm on the LA Dodgers? They've lost. It happens. We've seen it happen with the Mets. It's baseball.
It's happening with the Braves all season long.
Yeah, the whole time. Yeah.
The NBA Board of Governors on Wednesday unanimously approved the sale of the Boston Celtics to a group led by private equity mogul Bill Chisholm, a deal that values the franchise at $6.1 billion. Ooh. The league said the transaction was expected to close shortly. When it does, Chisholm will take 51% ownership of the team with full control coming by 2028 at a price that could bring the total value to $7.3 billion.
That's a lot of money, right?
Is there a stutter in the room? Tom Dunnard, the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes, has agreed to buy the Portland Trailblazers from the estate of Paul G. Allen for a valuation of just more than $4 billion. Sources confirmed to ESPN on Wednesday. Dundon intends to keep the team in Portland. Other members of Dundon's group include Mark Czar, the co-president of the Blue Owl Capital, and Sheil Tile, Portland-based founder of and CEO of Collective Global. The NBA Board of Governors, we already talked about that one. Lionel Taylor, an original Denver Bronco and a member of the Ring of Fame, has sadly passed away. He was 89 years old.
Man, I hope I live that long.
Here's a sad one, Cole, a real sad one. The infamous Hooters on Washington Road in Augusta, Georgia, where John Daly parks his RV, drinks beer, smokes cigarettes, and signs female patrons' butts, is officially closed.
Oh, what happened?
Augusta National owns the property, so you might think, oh, it's just the rich corporation shutting down a good time. Well, the problem is a restaurant can't sustain itself on one great week a year.
Well, that does make sense. Like right now on a Thursday, who's probably at that location if it were still open, right?
Right. Organizers of the LA Olympics will sell naming rights for a handful of venues in deals expected to bring multiple millions of dollars to the 2028 games, while breaking the IOC's long sacrosanct policy of keeping brand names off of its arenas and stadiums. And finally, Cole, Major League Baseball has updated its top 100 prospects, and 19-year-old Greenville Drive shortstop Franklin Arias, the Red Sox #1 prospect, is the number 24 prospect overall for Major League Baseball. Franklin's hitting 283, 54 RBIs, 6 home runs, and 11 steals in 2025.
Wow, how about that? Impressive. Really is.
Big deal.
Diesel, we have predicted all week long. I hope you brought your prediction hat back today. We predict again who is going to win the national championship in college football in 2025. Tolos, go ahead and start the conversation. Want to hear from you. 844-326-3663. Last year, I got lucky enough to pick the national championship winner right. Can I do it 2 years in a row? We'll find out next. to make your predictions. It's time to make our predictions. We've predicted all week long Clemson's schedule, South Carolina's schedule. We did the Carolina Panthers as well, and we continue the predictions right here on this Thursday edition on the Fan Upstate. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Tolo Thursday. Before we start making our predictions, let's go to the phone lines where you can call in or text the Hub City Spartanburgers text line at 844-326-3663. TA in Gaffney leading us off in the 4 p.m. segment. By the way, Tolos, don't forget Tolo Takeover at 5 p.m. today. TA in Gaffney, do you have a national championship pick?
My guys, listen, I have to rewind it just a bit because you hit on something with the Dodgers that just, it didn't crush me because I'm not a Dodgers fan, but I told a former teammate of A-ball, professional baseball with me, he was a pitcher, and I said, listen, Chad, if these guys bring Ohtani back, Shohei Ohtani back, and they try to jam him in for an inning and then 2 innings, and they don't bring a regular starter behind him, they're going to fry their bullpen because you're going to have other pitchers on other days that struggle, that's going to go deeper into that bullpen. And since Ohtani has been back, the Dodgers have been crap. They've been hitting the ball, but they haven't been throwing it, because when you throw your bullpen in the second, third, fourth inning over a period of time, other teams will blister that bullpen to death. And that's all I'll say about that. But to me, that's when it started happening. They were doing just fine. They tried to shove Ohtani in there when normally a pitcher would go back to an assignment in AA, maybe single A, triple A, whatever. And I think that's what's wrong with the Dodgers. Do I think they'll get it back if Ohtani can get back to pitching 8, 7, 6 innings strong? I think they can get it back. So I'm not writing them off just yet. But
what did he go, like 5 innings last night, TA? Is that right? Something like that?
So he's building it up. That's what I'm saying. He's building it up, and they're getting better. Secondly, I'm predicting – it's not really a prediction, but it is. I'm predicting that the winner of the Clemson, South Carolina game will win the national championship.
Whoa.
Because the state of South Carolina, and I know y'all went through it, but the state of South Carolina is going to have a national championship this year.
Wow.
Most likely Clemson. Most likely. I mean, you got Cade Klubnik, who everyone's saying is probably the number 2 guy at the Heisman pedestal right now. Obviously, Sellers is a freak. You got to stop, but they just got to schedule that. It's not Alabama, but it's still a very tough schedule. And all they have to do is get in the playoffs, and then they are wrecking balls. But just for them just to etch in like Clemson did last year, but they won the ACC, but I think they were the 8th seed overall anyway. So Clemson's going to bring it this year.
Okay.
Defensively, I think they're going to bring it strong. And I know y'all got to move on to other predictions, but I'm predicting if Carolina beats Clemson, they get in the playoffs. Clemson's going to win the ACC. They're going to get into playoffs.
Yeah.
And they might end up playing twice. So I'll leave it at that. That's a lot to think about, but that's what I'm thinking.
Thanks, TA. Appreciate the phone call as always. That's a big bowl take, right?
Yeah, it is.
Whoever wins the Palmetto Bowl will win it all. So my pushback with South Carolina is, and he kind of made the point, Diesel, their road is just so much tougher. There's 5 or 6 of their last 7 or 5 of the last 6, whatever it is. They're a good team. I think they'll be a good team, but that's a brutal road, and I don't think they're going to win all those games that they need to win in order to get in.
Right. I think, Cole, there's a Goldilocks zone for where you want to be as far as having a good strength of schedule that test you a couple of times over the course of the season, but also not having a schedule that's so tough that you just get beat up week in and week out. I think you want to be somewhere in that, upper teens to mid 20s range. If you're there, that means you've been tested for maybe 5 good times over the course of a season.
Okay.
You can stay as healthy as you can by resting a lot of starters in the fourth quarter, but it also means that you're not necessarily doing it every week. So you're not, taking your team out of that mental headspace that they have to be locked in and playing all 4 quarters, which I think has been a little bit of an Achilles heel for Clemson over the last couple of years. They've just run roughshod over everybody. Most of the starters are out by midway through the third quarter, if not even at halftime. And then, you get guys who are only used to playing half a game, and they're maybe not mentally prepared as they could be to play full 4-quarter games.
By the way, Texter gets in and says, this comes from the 991. Irmo hit a grand slam. They are now up 8-0. So pretty cool news. They're off to a big start is Irmo. Tolos, if you just tuned in, we are about to make our national championship predictions right here on the Fan Up State. We've already predicted Clemson, South Carolina, and the Panthers this week. Want to hear from you. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line is open at 844-326-3663. Who is your pick to win it all in 2025? Diesel, did you struggle with this as much as I did?
No, I didn't.
Really?
I didn't.
See, you could convince me every single day, tomorrow, Friday, the next day, Saturday, every single day, you could convince me that one of 6 teams that I've written down have a shot to win it all. I think there are 6 teams in college football that have a legitimate shot to win the college football national championship. To me, this is extremely challenging to pick this year's winner.
Oh man, getting 6 options. I mean, you got a decent chance of getting that right. I thought we had to pick one.
We are. I hadn't told you who I'm picking.
I've got my one.
Okay, I have not told you who I'm picking yet. I'm saying there are 6 in my mind, these 6 have the best option. I'm going to narrow it from 6 to 1. Obviously, we all know that there are a lot of good teams that could make runs, but when I say these 6, and I'll tell you in just a few minutes who those 6 are, I could see any of those 6 winning it, is what I'm saying. I'm obviously going to narrow it down to 1, but you take the floor, you take the lead. Who is your prediction, your national championship prediction winner to win the college football playoff in 2025?
As much as it pains me to say it, I think we have back-to-back national champions, and for the 3rd straight year, a Big Ten national champion in the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think the world of this team. They're preseason number 3. Win or lose against Texas, it's not going to matter, right? I mean, all they need to do is go out and win 9 games, and they're going to win 9 games against this schedule, and Ohio State is going to be in the college football playoff.
Yeah,
so
they're in.
A 12-game schedule gets you into the playoff, right? It's a resume to get you in. They're going to get in. And then, like I was saying before, I think they sit right there in that Goldilocks zone where they're not going to overload the redshirt freshman Julian Sayin too much over the course of this season. I mean, he plays Texas early. Guess what? Newsflash, they're breaking in a new quarterback as well. Then they got a couple of weeks. They got 3 weeks, Grambling, Ohio, and a bye week before they go on the road, their first true road game of the season at Washington. And I don't have a clue what Washington is going to have this year. But I think by the time they get into the meat of their schedule, which really isn't until mid-October, where they're on the road at Illinois, on the road at Wisconsin, hosting Penn State, coming off a bye. Both of those teams are coming off a bye, by the way. On November 1st is when those two are going to play each other. I think this team kind of sits right in that spot that I was saying. You want your team to be tested a couple of times. You want them to really screw the screws down tight by that point, by the time they get to the end of the season. But you don't want them playing such a murderer's row schedule that they're beat up over the course of the regular season. So I think they're going to have an opportunity to sit some of these guys. Julian Sayin's going to have an opportunity to mature. He's a 4-star quarterback. We know he's really good. He was committed to Alabama before transferring to Ohio State. I think the world of this team. And I think enough of their opponents are soft enough. They're not going to have a lot of problems. And then really are you talented enough to win through a tournament format?
So I have Ohio State as one of my 6 teams that I consider having the best shot to win the national championship. Before I get to my pick, I'll comment on Ohio State. They're going to be really good. We also know that Ryan Day now has the monkey off of his back. So he may, I don't know, Diesel, but he may turn into a different coach now. He might be a little bit more aggressive. They might beat Michigan. I don't know if they do or not. It's at Michigan, by the way, this year.
Final week of the season.
I'll say
29th.
this. Ohio State, like I said, I do have them as one of the 6 teams with the best shot to win it all. But ultimately, the schedule for me that you read off is why I don't think they win it all. I believe once they get to the college football playoff, they'll be tested in a way that they haven't been since August the 30th. I think they beat Michigan this season. I think they get that monkey off of their back. But Grambling, Ohio, and Minnesota, and those teams, yeah, they'll play Penn State, but they're not going to get tested, in my mind, enough to go consistently. This is not a one-off anymore in the 4-team college football playoff. You now have to win multiple games in the CFP. Ohio State, Julian Sayin, can he be what Will Howard was? I don't know. I thought the world of Will Howard. I think Julian Sayin will be just fine. But ultimately, Diesel, I am predicting Ohio State runs into a better team in the college football playoff, and that is why I don't have them as my winner to win it all. I had LSU, Texas, Clemson, Georgia, Bama, and Ohio State as the 6 teams with the best shot to win the national championship in 2025. I just told you that I don't believe Ohio State does it. I think LSU's schedule is just so tough that they're going to have a mishap too many, maybe one mishap too many in the SEC, and that could be the case with Georgia and Bama as well. Ultimately, I'll see if I can predict it right 2 years in a row as I did with Ohio State last season. Clemson wins the national championship for me in 2025. We've talked about Clemson a lot, obviously, Diesel, leading up to the season, but with the talent they bring back, I look at veteran-led teams, and this team is going to be as veteran-led as any other team out there. They may not be position by position the most talented, but give me guys who have been playing together and have that camaraderie and continuity that Clemson has. You mentioned the ACC schedule. You talked about Ohio State's schedule and the ACC. They don't have as many trip-ups as teams like LSU, Texas, Georgia, and Bama do. So very similar to your point with Ohio State, Diesel, they'll be in the CFP. We all believe that. And I think ultimately when you get in that tournament, give me firepower and give me a team that's been together for a while. That experience, in my mind, is why Clemson will win the national championship.
Yeah, I think Clemson's got a tremendous amount of talent this year. And it's certainly possible. I would look at them as another one of those teams that kind of sits in that Goldilocks zone. They sit on the outside of it, though, sort of on the wrong end of that Goldilocks zone where their strength of schedule, I had the page pulled up a minute ago. I think it's somewhere around 30, 31, where, I just don't know that they're going to be tested enough regularly throughout that season. And your critique of Ohio State's schedule, they're obviously number 1 power rated in the Big Ten. They play 3 out of the top 6 power rated teams in their own conference this year. Them, of course, being number 1. So behind them, 3 of the top 5 teams in that conference. I think they're going to be plenty tested over the course of this season. And ultimately the question is can Julian Sayin develop fast enough over the course of the season? And basically we could say that about every team, almost every team inside the top 10. Texas, new quarterback. Yeah. Ohio State, new quarterback. Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama. They all have new quarterbacks. And by new, I mean young new quarterbacks. I'm not talking about Miami and LSU, who are LSU obviously with Nussmeier in his second year, but Miami with a new quarterback who's got a tremendous amount of experience. I like Clemson a lot. I think they have a really good chance. There's a reason why I put them going 11-1 over the course of this season, and certainly that's going to put them in that conversation. They do that. Even if they get to the ACC championship game and lose, they're in. Maybe losing in the ACC championship game and getting in might be the best thing for them, right? It might piss them off at the right time.
Well, it's really interesting when you talk about these contenders because I do think quarterback matters a lot. And I'm not saying that I don't believe in Julian Sayin, but I do think Diesel, I'm in the boat of Julian Sayin's got to prove it to me. I just don't know that ultimately Julian Sayin's a national championship caliber quarterback. Is he capable of winning a couple of games, one or two games in the postseason? For sure. I think he is, but I think a lot of quarterbacks and look, last year we saw a really good quarterback take his team and lead them to the national championship. I think Garrett Nussmeier is a national championship caliber quarterback. However, with LSU's schedule, they're going to have more opportunities to trip up than Clemson will. You combine the amount of trip ups, their schedule, the talent, the veteran experience, and you also combine a guy in Tom Allen that I think is going to make a tremendous difference in year one and the way that defense plays, their assignments, the physicality, and having the right guys on the field. I'm not saying that you can hire Tom Allen and go win the national championship in the first year anywhere, but I think Clemson, they got to the CFP last season. They saw, what they needed to do. They went out and got some guys in the portal that I think are going to tremendously help this team. And their wide receiver room it's as loaded as anybody. So if they do have injuries, I think they'll be able to rebound. And I think Dabo Swinney Diesel gets back to the pinnacle of the sport. And boy, that all the criticism that was aimed his way in the last 2 years, does that criticism die quickly this season? I think it does.
Yeah, but what if he doesn't? Does all that criticism come back even louder again?
Depends what he does.
You've done it your way. You've got all these guys that have come up through your system. They've all played together. This is an old veteran team. All the chips preseason are stacked in Clemson's favor to go have an incredible season and be really, really good this year. If they're not, then I think that's going to be a red-hot critique on Dabo Swinney's system.
Well, it depends what they
methodology.
Do. So if they don't win it all this year, how bad were they? Were they a couple of plays from winning it all? Were they injury plagued? Were they horrible and we were all wrong? To answer your question, I'd kind of like to know, what did they do? So if they didn't win the national championship and they lost 4 games again, Diesel 100%. There's going to be plenty of room for criticism toward Dabo Swinney, and it should be. There should be if they somehow, some way were to lose 4 games again. I just think that ultimately in sports, and we all know this, but you know how, you look at this season, it's easy for you and I to sit here today and say, okay, this team's going to win it all. This team's going to win it all. Do we realize, Diesel, how many things have to go right? How many things have to go right in order to win a national championship? You have to be talented. You have to have a little bit of luck. I believe in luck. You don't. Rob Brown don't. You have to have the chips fall your way. And ultimately, man, when that happens, when you say, okay, we've got to have more things go right for us than everybody else, I want to see that team, or I believe that team will have come from an easier path, a Penn State path, an Ohio State path, a Clemson path, right? Where the path isn't as hard or tricky. Now, you picked Ohio State to win it all. Mm-hmm. Back-to-back champions. We don't see tremendously often. Georgia did it. Bama did it. And those were within the last 10 to 15 years that I can think of. I'm sure there were others as well.
I also selfishly want this to happen because Paul Feinbaum says he would move out of the United States if the SEC doesn't win a national championship this year.
That's true.
So
either way,
I mean, I'm doing this for all of you. Okay. Yeah. For all of us who want Paul to get on out of this place. We have a texter, Buckeye Brian, who says, attaboy Diesel. I just wonder, Buckeye Brian, legitimately speaking, are you and your other Ohio State brethren around here, you can spot them because they're usually swerving off the road. Are you as high on your own team as I am? Obviously, they've got a tremendous amount of hype, but it's a new quarterback. It's also a new defensive coordinator in Matt Patricia, a whole new system over there. There's only one way to go, which is down as far as the quality of your defense, because they had the best defense in the country last year. we'll see if Matt Patricia can be
big
successful in college.
Yeah.
You know,
JD on the YouTube stream says, first hour of the show, Clemson was in danger of losing 2 of their first 3 and falling out of the top 25. Second hour of the show, they're picked as a national championship. Well, JD, look, you're simply wrong. I'm not trying to be rude here, but let's go back to what you said. You said first hour of the show, Clemson was in danger of losing 2 of their first 3. Go back and find where I said they're in danger of losing 2 out of their first 3. I didn't. Go back and try to find it. Spend all night doing it. You're not going to find it. We never said that. I never said that. I never said they were in danger of losing 2 out of their first 3 games. In fact, Diesel and I did a segment at 3 o'clock. If you missed it, you can go back and find it on the free Odyssey app, where we said you're either safe or you're unsafe in terms of falling out of the top 25. The segment was geared toward trying to figure out how these teams could fall out of the top 25. We also did a segment yesterday or the day before where the segment, Diesel, was geared towards South Carolina going from 4 losses to 2 losses. You remember that? Mm-hmm. It's called radio. The segments were geared towards that. I never said Clemson was in danger of losing 2 of their first 3. So if you're going to put words in my mouth, make sure you get them right. I did pick them as a national champion because I think they are the best team with the most experience. But again, if you're going to say things, just make sure you say it correctly.
Remember, Tolos, next Wednesday at 4 o'clock, we open up the text lines and the phone lines for the very first Wire-to-Wire Upset Picks Challenge week this season. Week 0, all games that are being played next Saturday, the 23rd. Week 1 will be the games played the following week, which I believe off the top of my head start on Thursday and run all the way through the following Monday. So you'll have a lot of time to be thinking about what games you want to pick for week 1. But next week, again, week 0, you'll have 5, maybe 6 games to choose from. We'll get that going next Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Want as many Tolos as possible to make this thing bigger and bigger every single year. Cole, you ever heard that phrase, over my dead body?
Yeah.
Well, there's a woman who is doing exactly that when it comes to tattoos and how she's preserving her now deceased husband's ink. It's going to freak you out. And I want to ask you, Tolos, what kind of sports ink do you have? We'll talk about it next. Tolos, those of you who, having just clear, regular skin just doesn't do it for you, you might spend money on tattoos. A lot of people spend money on tattoos, and some of you love your sports teams so much that you will get your sports team's logo tattooed on your body. That's an admirable thing. You better hope that they don't sell the team or do something that really, really pisses you off. But in all likelihood, you're probably going to be good with this tattoo on your skin for a while. I do wonder how many of you Tolos have sports-themed tattoos. What do you have? Where is it? How big is it? How much did it cost you? Text into the to the text line, 844-326-3663, the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. But Cole, today is, believe it or not, National Tattoo Removal Day. Most people don't realize that that's a day. Well, it is a day.
There's a day for everything now.
And look, again, we said tattoos can be very, very expensive. And the problem is you spend all this money to get it, and then when you pass away, it's just it just goes in the ground. It's just money in the ground. It's money wasted. It's in the ground. Well, not for this nurse in West Virginia who decided to preserve a piece of her husband's arm skin that had his favorite team's tattoo on it.
Oh, that's gross.
Not just preserve it. Like, there's this whole process, and I guess it's a lucrative business to do it. She preserved it, had it framed, and now a chunk of her husband's arm skin is hanging on her living room wall.
That is so gross, first of all.
Right.
I don't know why any person in their right mind would want to do that, even if you loved your husband so much. Second of all, Diesel, I am not against tattoos, but I am against sports tattoos. And here's what's interesting. You know how I love sports. I mean, I love sports. I love the Dallas Cowboys just as much as anybody, and I really do love sports. However, if I'm going to get something inked on my body, on my skin
for life,
I want it to be something of significant meaning to me. And even though the Cowboys are of significant meaning, to your point, what if they do something that is just a unforgivable sin for me, or I just fall out of love with the Cowboys one day, right?
So here's the audio of Angelica Radevsky, who, again, suddenly lost her husband unexpectedly this past year. He was 55 when he passed away. Here she is talking about the decision to do this. And I want to hear you Tolos react to it as well at 844-326-3663.
This is so weird.
Here's Angelica.
We really had my husband's tattoo preserved. On Friday, after everybody left and I was doing my goodbye, is when the mortician and I stood there and I got to outline the exact tattoo I wanted. My husband having over 70 tattoos, I wanted the surrounding tattoos in it as well. So you outline it and then the tissue is removed, and Save My Ink Forever sent the funeral home a preservation bag and sends it to Save My Ink Forever.
Ugh.
When they showed us his tattoo, it was undescribable as to what that felt.
That's disgusting.
That is so weird. You know, she needs help, Diesel. She needs to go see a psychiatrist. She really needs to think about.
She's not the only one. It's apparently a lucrative business. They send a preservation bag. What is it? A Ziploc? You cut off a chunk of skin, you stick it in a Ziploc and put it in the mail.
Gross. Throw it in the freezer; it'll stay good longer, right? Oh my gosh!
They had a kid together, and their 10-year-old son, Preston, also shared in the process and helped choose which tattoo they were going to keep. Again, he had over 70 tattoos. His name was TJ Radevsky. Had over 70 tattoos. And he had this. I'm going to put it on the stream in case anybody is a little squeamish and a little grossed out by this kind of stuff. Here we go.
What if I pass out? This is
a literal chunk of skin off of TJ Radevsky's arm that had his Steelers tattoo on it. They said this is absolutely his favorite tattoo, which I don't get because, I mean, honestly, it's kind of a crappy tattoo.
Looks like it has something to do with the graveyard because you see
skull.
Yeah, and you see kind of around it, like I guess I'm looking at tombstones, right? It's like maybe it was cool at one time. You see some teeth of the skull, right? It to your point though, it's not like amazing,
right? I mean, like, just because it's not like a beautiful piece of art, and the teeth on that thing are terrible.
They are weird looking.
Jump in on the stream, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, search the Fan Upstate. You can see a photo of this really strange keepsake that I think is going to become a bigger and bigger thing, honestly. Okay. So they circled the tattoo that I guess was incredibly meaningful for him, or they thought represented TJ the best. They circled it. The mortician filleted that piece of skin off of his arm.
Don't use that word. Oh my God.
Right off of his arm. They put it in a plastic baggie, shipped it to Ohio. It took 90 days to do whatever it is they do to preserve it. Essentially turn it into leather, I guess. And then they send it back in a frame.
You know, my question is, what does the family do? Like, you're just going to look at this in a frame and think, oh, that's cool. That was a tattoo. I mean, that is weird. It's the family, like, no sane person thinks of this and thinks, oh, yeah, let's scrape that tattoo off. I can't wrap my head around this.
I mean, if you're the one who paid for it, I get it, because really, really good tattoo artists, they charge a lot of money. Good tattoo artists, and again, if any of you Tolos have tattoos of sports teams, tell us what you got. Good tattoo artists charge between $150 and $300 per hour.
Yeah.
To me, offhand, this tattoo looks like it might have taken 20 minutes. I don't know. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's not a good tattoo.
No, it's not.
But again, I guess it was representative of this guy.
I also want to know from the Tolos out there at 844-326-3663 if you would ever consider getting a sports tattoo. If you have one, like Diesel said, let us know. If you'd ever consider getting a sports tattoo, I wouldn't even consider it. Would you? A sports tattoo?
I've thought about it.
A sports tattoo?
Yeah. I'd thought about it. I sort of designed it. I even had somebody Sharpie like mock it up on my shoulder. It was going to be a full shoulder cap piece that would have been really expensive. And see, I get the idea, and I'm like, man, that would look really cool. But then I'm like, I don't really want to spend almost $1,000 on this. That's ludicrous.
They're expensive. Oh, especially the sleeve. I mean, anything you get that's more than one.
Yeah.
You know, again, to me, personal opinion, it's just, I don't mind tattoos. I have 2 tattoos, but if I'm going to have ink, I want it to mean something.
Sure.
Deeper than, but look, so everybody's different.
Like religious significance?
Yeah, both of mine are religious significance.
Okay.
And for me, again, I'm not saying people out there with sports tattoos are weird, but I'll say this. Everybody is different in terms of what they can. Like, some people just don't give 2 rips what's on their skin.
Look at Pete Davidson.
And he said he regretted that, by the way.
He's getting them all removed.
I just don't know that the removal will look as good as the.
Cool. Removal never looks great, because I've got a lot of friends who have gotten a lot of tattoos, and some of them are getting them removed, and they look terrible. I mean, you can still see it. It's just faded. It looks bad. So to me, there is no such thing as removal. You can lighten it and then re-tattoo over it so the new tattoo looks even better.
It's just weird. I mean, like Pete Davidson, what's he going to look like with a remove? Like, I don't know that will. We'll see though.
And hey, some people genuinely don't care, right? Like they don't go like, I got a silly tattoo because at the time I was really into The Simpsons, so I got Bart Simpson.
Right.
Flicking you off. Who knows? I mean, look, my one of my best friends in the world has multiple band tattoos.
Yeah.
And one of which we went and saw them together, and the band pissed him off so much. He's like, I hate this tattoo now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
See, that'd be my fear. Alex Guest of the Saturday Morning Scramble text and says, can I have one of your tattoos when you die in 80 years? No, that's weird. That's gross.
You'll be 120.
No, I'm not going to live 80 years. Are you kidding me? I won't live 8 more. No, I'm kidding.
Ouch. Not with the number of energy drinks you drink every day.
80 years. I'd love to live 80 more years, but I doubt it. That's one of the strangest stories. You always hear a story and you're like, okay, that's the strangest I've ever heard, but I think today's I think that story tops it for me.
I know we got
That's
a lot of
weird.
Tolos that have Clemson and South Carolina tattoos. You see them all the time
Yeah,
on
you'd
game
think
day.
so.
People out shirtless, drunk on game day. You see tiger paws and big giant, you-know-whats tattooed on their bodies. JD
I don't know
making dirty texts, send a dirty text. He goes, if my wife saves anything of me when I die, we all know what it better be.
Your glasses.
Oh, God.
Right?
That's not going to be your brain, JD.
Your glasses. That's what I say.
Just kidding. All out of love.
Diesel, do you remember the name, yes or no, Neil Shipley?
Neil Shipley. It sounds familiar?
But not like, doesn't
No,
automatically
not off the top of my
ring a bell?
head.
I will try in the next segment to tell you why Neil Shipley, the name Neil Shipley, should ring a bell. And I have audio to back that up next. So, Diesel, I asked you if the name Neil Shipley rang a bell. You said, no, not off the top of your head. Pat McAfee today told Neil Shipley, or had a fantastic announcement for Neil Shipley, as Neil Shipley joined the Pat McAfee show so that Pat could give you this, or could give him this announcement. The audio you're about to hear, and then on the other side of the audio, I'll tell you, Diesel, why the name Neil Shipley should ring a bell to you. But here's the audio of him finding out something pretty cool today on the Pat McAfee show.
I have an official announcement for you, and I don't think you know this, but you might have known that it was around the corner. Each year, 20 players earn a PGA Tour card through their position on the end-of-season Korn Ferry Tour points list. Throughout the season, the PGA Tour monitors players at the top of the list, and when they meet a certain threshold, they are declared #Tour Bang, which means they've locked up their PGA Tour card for the following season. Neil Shipley, it is with our honor, and I kind of gave it away there. You have a brain, so you certainly understood what was going on and have been following along. But we are so incredibly lucky to be a part of a moment that we hope changes the trajectory of your life, your family's life, and everything you got going on. Congratulations, brother. With 2 massive comeback wins this season, you're a top 100 player in the world now. You've officially locked up your PGA Tour card. You are #Tour Bang, sir. Congratulations.
So how cool is it that Neil Shipley found out on the Pat McAfee show that he was tour-bound, Diesel? He got his tour card. He's leaving the Korn Ferry Tour to go to the PGA Tour. Super cool. But you should recognize the name Neil Shipley because about 2 months ago, you and I interviewed Neil Shipley at the BMW Charity Pro-Am.
I'm glad that you said tour-bound, because I couldn't understand what the hell Pat McAfee tour-bound. What does that mean?
You didn't understand what he said?
Hey, you're tour-bound.
You didn't understand him?
Say it. Come again, Pat. Tour-bound.
Hey, you could understand him. You could understand.
McAfee's a moron.
Yeah, well, a moron with a lot of money.
What? He's tour-bound. What?
Don't be a hater, Diesel. Don't be
I am a hater. I'm a Pat McAfee hater.
Well, he's a rich, successful guy.
So he's telling me if I acted like more of an idiot, I could be on Pat McAfee's level?
Maybe. I'm just telling you, he's doing something right.
Some of you
doing
might say,
something right.
And
look,
idiotic.
people like that, they're going to have people that don't like him. That's fair. Sure. But he's doing something right. But Neil Shipley, we had him on Wire to Wire in Greenville just a couple of months ago. Big guy, kind of long hair. And he was obviously playing in the BMW Charity Pro-Am. But, it's got to be reaching the top of your sports incredibly challenging. But Diesel, to be able to go from that moment from the Korn Ferry to the PGA Tour, like that's got to be a life-changing feeling that very few people obviously experience, and I don't know how to put it in the words. It's one of those kind of like if you could ever hit a home run in the bottom of the ninth inning to walk it off. I mean, those feelings of being able to know that you are going to the PGA Tour. Are you kidding me? That's incredible.
It's a tremendous amount of work to get to that level, not only to be able to go out and have a good round every now and again, but you've got to do it week in and week out. And it's a lifetime's worth of work to get to that point.
It really is. I'll tell you this. We had so many guests on this year at the BMW Charity Pro-Am. You do get a pass for not remembering his name because we had like 15 or 20 people on, including celebrities and amateurs and everybody. We had so many guests on. So
you might have had him on Thursday.
I think so.
Because I wasn't out there with you on Thursday. I was out there with you on Friday. Right? I was only out there with you one day this year.
Maybe so. Yeah, Thursday you were here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could have been Thursday. It could have been. I'll have to go back and see if
I'm looking at a photo of Neil right now. And I'm like, this guy doesn't look familiar to me.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe could have been Thursday. Again, he didn't win the BMW Charity Pro-Am in 2025.
And then what's he doing on the tour then?
I know he won 2, but didn't win that one.
Loser.
By the way, quick note, I was sent, let's see, was this on text or email? I was sent a message that they're having a big thank you. What's the golf store over here on Woodruff Road? You go there?
The PGA Golf Superstore?
I think so. Okay, so they're having a big, for any Tolos out there that may have volunteered, there are thousands of volunteers out here.
Or Golf Galaxy.
Let's see. BMW Charity Pro-Am is hosting a volunteer thank you event Tuesday, August 19th from 6 to 8 at the PGA Tour Superstore.
Cool.
On Woodruff Road. And Ann from the marketing company reached out, and I don't know who, but she's going to have somebody on the show that day.
Cool.
Evidently, they're having some people out there and things like that. But 6 to 8 p.m. on that's next week, by the way, the 19th of August. So if you were a volunteer or know somebody who was a volunteer for the tournament, as there are many, that'd be a pretty cool event.
Is it like 90 seconds all you can grab?
I don't know. I don't know, but it'd be
30 seconds all you can grab, and it takes 15 to get back to the golf club section.
What do you do? That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? All you can grab.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
When we come back, Cole, it is time for you, time for me, and time for all the Tolos to get your dialing fingers in gear. Go ahead and stretch them out. Get ready to punch in 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Because it is time for our weekly Tolo Takeover, your chance to grab these airwaves by the you-know-whats and twist. That's next. You know, sometimes you just gotta vent. You just gotta get it off your chest. Tolos, every single Thursday at this time, 5 p.m., we give you a chance to take over these airways. We have Overreaction Monday, and that's great. But we also have your opportunity to talk about anything you want to talk about on these airwaves. It is your Tolo Takeover, 844-326-3663. That's the number to call or text to be a part of the Tolo Takeover. Of course, we want you to call because that's more interactive and more fun for us, but you can text.
You can text, but I will say, Diesel, I literally was told this today by somebody. So it's a good reminder for us and for the Tolos out there. I was literally talking to someone this morning who said, oh, yeah, I'll listen to y'all, but I'll be honest with you, I hadn't listened since like April because there's a lot of people who don't listen during the dog days of summer. We get it. So some of you Tolos, maybe new to the show, football's coming around, you just found this Tolo Takeover. You're the Tolos. Diesel and I are giving you a whole segment to call and take over, vent, whatever it is. You won't find this anywhere else where we just say, here's the keys, take it for a drive. That's what we're doing. So if you've never called before, maybe today's the day you have something to rant about. I ranted about dogs in restaurants last week.
Yeah.
So let's see what the Tolos are up for today.
844-326-3663. Call in, be a part of the show. We go straight to the phone lines. Batting lead off, we have Dewey, who's got something to say. Dewey, what's up?
Yes, I got a couple of things today. First of all, I'm going to touch on what Tom said about K. Klubnik. I 100%, 1,000% agree that he's going to be trashed this year. He's going to go out and throw 3 interceptions in the LSU game. He's going to get trounced by LSU, and then the rest of the Clemson season is going to spiral. They're only going to finish 7-5 at best. Dabo and his nerdness is not going to get him out of this time. It's going to be the end of the Clemson dynasty. And Lenore Sellers, I believe he's going to be mediocre. He ain't going to be as terrible as Cade, but he's not going to be he's not going to be extravagant. He's just not going to be this as everyone thinks he's going to be.
Use your words, Dewey. Sound it out. Slow down a little bit. It's okay. You don't have to go so fast.
Just a beer. But he's not gonna win the Heisman. He's not gonna win he's not gonna win anything. In South Carolina, I hate to say this, and Tom, forgive me, but we all know they don't do well at height. And they're gonna be like 7-5, 6-6.
Ooh.
Aren't you a Gamecock fan though, Dewey?
Yeah, but Dewey's consistent with his everybody sucks takes.
Well, I'm being honest.
Okay.
Now they could go 9-3. And 10-2, but they're going to have to run the table at least the first half of the season. And I don't know. Virginia Tech, everyone thinks they're going to blow them out, but I think it's going to be a sloppy game that Carolina's going to win, but it's going to be sloppy. But
all right.
Anyways.
What's your next thought?
I got one more thing. It's about school buses. I'm going to do a little color review with everyone. When you see something I observed in the last couple of days, because school's back in session, is these little school buses, and they got colors. They got colors for a reason. Yellow, when you see the yellow light, that means you slow down. That means if you're coming through the other lane, you slow down. You don't try to speed up. When you see red light, that means you stop for the school bus. I seen a car the other day just run right past a stop sign with the red light on. No cop, no nothing. They just ran past, and the poor little kid almost got ran over. That was travesty. It was terrible. And you people, you know who you are. You run red lights on the regular. Don't run a bus red light, because it can harm another child, and that'll be a travesty. And you'll be in jail with me.
Oh my God. I have no idea. We went from colors of the school bus to colors of the stop sign to colors of the red lights. Yellow.
Oh man!
Oh my gosh!
So
he's fired up.
Dewey, in all that inane rambling, did have a good point. When you see the yellow school bus stopped with the red sign out with the flashing lights,
yeah,
you have to stop. It's the law. Otherwise, you're gonna turn little Stanley into Flat Stanley.
People don't stop for that.
I thought that buses were equipped with cameras that would catch people doing that, because that's obviously
we're not
really
that fancy. Half those buses,
really bad.
Yeah, but man, those half of those buses don't even have turn signals, much less cameras to catch people.
No, school buses are not like they were when we were kids, man. When we were kids,
I think
school buses sucked.
Yeah.
Now these things are like
Are
bougie.
they?
Yeah,
Are they?
They're like made by Tesla.
Oh, Tesla buses.
wild.
That's what it is.
Wild
They do
stuff.
have the Tesla trucks.
Yeah, I think those
The
are ugly.
18-wheelers.
Oh, the 18-wheelers.
Yeah,
those are ugly
themselves.
too.
They
but
drive themselves.
Yeah, that's dangerous though.
You
Honestly,
think so?
I don't know. Do you feel safer behind a Tesla truck with no driver in it, or a regular Peterbilt with like a meth head driving it?
Probably the meth head.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Texter says, "Welcome back, Dewey." Another texter says, "I want a T-shirt that just says yes on it."
That'd be good. Like sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's yeah, that'd be real good. I like.
I mean, if we did have, is it JB that always texts in with toe up from the flow up?
Yeah, I think so.
We get that shirt made and just have yes on the back.
Joe Lysick, Jersey Joe on the Facebook stream comment. When are you going to call in, Jersey Joe? Hadn't heard from you in a while. JD's next. 844-326-3663. Let's light them up. Light the phone lines up, Diesel. You're going to have to call in a minute. If
I guess
we got to get those numbers up, right?
Yep.
That's what Matthew McConaughey?
Rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
What's up, JD?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, gentlemen? Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah.
I was thinking about saying my normal "shut up, Dewey," but today I think I'm just going to say, "Dang, Dewey! Wow, coming at it strong on the Clemson and South Carolina takes and the school bus take, no less." I can speak for school bus. My mom used to drive one, so I had the great mispleasure of having to ride that son of a gun every day. And no, there was nothing cool or fun about a school bus. It took like 4 hours for it to warm up in the morning. So by the time, if it was cold, by the time you got to school, the bus would finally be warm. And then guess what? In the summer, you had to have all the windows down. So guess who had to put up all the stinking windows in the bus at the end of the day?
Who?
This guy, me, of course.
That's tough.
I had to go through. Oh, and here's the crazy part. We've literally, so I went to go put the windows up one day, and I found someone that was still asleep on the school bus. They missed their stop.
Oh, do your windows go all the way to the top, JD?
The windows go all the way to the top. Mine.
Moving on. What do you have? What's your take?
Well, I was just responding to Dewey. My bad. So my take is, so a lot of stuff I've seen from Clemson Twitter on their football team the last hour or so that I've been scrolling is about this punting competition. Can y'all just stop it, okay, Dabo, with the 3 punters? It ain't like you're going to need any of them at all. Your offense is going to be really good. And then if y'all get to a punting situation, y'all are just going to do that little QB pooch kick thing. So Cade Klubnik will technically be your punter. So y'all, Clemson fans, stop worrying about the punting competition, please. That's all I got on that one.
Hey, JD, I'll tell you real quick on the quarterback punting. I don't know. It's funny you brought that up. I was talking with somebody the other day. If I was a football coach, Diesel, JD, I've seen it done at the high school level. You see it sometimes college, but I don't know why there's not more emphasis on quarterbacks being able to learn to punt. Because if I was a coach, I would have – that's all we'd do.
It's a great trick play.
I wouldn't have a punter. We wouldn't have a punter on the roster. Every quarterback would be able to punt the ball because when he's out there, you don't know what's happening. I want to keep the defense on there. Why do more people not do that? I love it. Let the quarterback punt.
I guess there's a higher percentage or a more obvious chance that you're going to throw the ball with your punter if your quarterback is the punter rather than your punter being the punter and occasionally being able to pull out a trick play throw.
Right. Not everybody is Kai Kroger who can have 100% completion percentage as a punter in college.
Yeah.
And exactly to your point, Cole, I mean, in high school, there aren't but so many players on the team. And a lot of times the quarterback is one of the best athletes. So they have to punt. They have to. Exactly.
Hey,
but
JD.
yeah, I see Clemson fans.
Dewey says that JD rides the short bus. So did I, talking about himself. So no shame. Your response to Dewey, he says you rode the short bus.
My mom did drive a short bus occasionally, not very often. Most of the time we had the long bus. And so back to the windows, I had to put up like 40 windows every day. I wish it was a short bus because I would have only had to put up like 5. That would have been great, Dewey.
Oh, thanks for the call, JD. Let's go to the phone lines again with Jersey Joe. Cole asked for it, and Jersey Joe called in.
He delivered, baby. He delivered. He's the mailman.
Welcome, Joe.
Hey, you guys just talking about school buses. You guys had school buses?
What did you take, a horse and buggy?
No, Joe had to walk up the hill in the snow.
We had to get the horse out of the barn and hook it up to the wagon.
Where'd you grow up? What part of the country did you grow up in, Joe?
Up in Jersey.
Jersey, okay. Got cold up there. Had to walk up hills both ways. That's what they say here, at least, right? No shoes.
Walk both ways uphill in the snow.
Yeah.
Hey, did you ever come across that New Jersey Pine Devil up there?
No, never came across it.
No. Do you believe in it?
No, I don't believe in that. But we in the area that I was from, we had an incident. Well, not an incident, but kind of a story of a guy used to walk the train tracks who had a hook on his thing carrying a lantern because he got it severed off by a train.
Oh, wait.
So he got what?
He got what severed off?
What got severed off?
His hand got severed off by a train.
Gotcha. So he kept walking the train tracks afterwards anyway?
Called the Happy Hooker. Yeah, he had a hook on.
Oh, what did he hook the lantern to?
His hook.
Attached to his arm.
Oh, my God. You can't make this up. I think that's the best story I've ever heard in my life. The Happy Hooker.
The Happy Hooker.
Oh, my gosh. That's incredible. Ooh, that's good stuff. Hey, Joe, by the way, I would like to do something, and I don't know when we could do it on the show, but I would like to, Diesel and I talked about this. You are, remind me, like back-to-back champions of the hot dog eating contest?
I am a 6-time champ, 4 years in a row.
So I think it'd be cool to do Tolo on Tolo, and then I'd like to participate as well to see if somebody can knock you off. We do it on the air. Like Diesel does the play-by-play, or I do the play-by-play. Diesel participates.
I'm not mature enough to do play-by-play of a hot dog eating contest.
That'd make for good radio, though. Do you realize how good radio that'd be if you're sitting there having to do play of me? How many hot dogs did you eat? What's the number?
Everybody gets 10 hot dogs.
And you ate
wins.
Okay, 10 dogs, and what was your time?
My best time is 5 minutes, 28 seconds.
5:28. What was your time this year?
Joey Chestnut did 76 in 10 minutes.
Yeah, tell me about it. This year was 6 minutes, 10 seconds.
Joe, I have no idea if I could actually take you or not, but I will tell you this: I'm always up for the challenge. I love to try.
How much of a handicap do you think you'd have to give Cole?
No, I think I don't need a handicap.
No handicap?
No,
no gimme.
That's right.
No gimmies.
Yeah,
10 dogs.
Joe, could you eat 10 in the time it takes Cole to eat 9? Would you give him a 1 hot dog lead?
No.
I don't want to lead. I want to beat him fair and square.
That's fair.
5 minutes, and again, what was
Joe's
it?
a professional.
5 what?
5:28 is my best time.
I'm going to write that down. We've got to figure out a way, because that would make for hilarious radio content. I mean, we've got plenty of room. Can you imagine, Diesel, right there behind you, if we had a table? A table. I mean, hear me out. Jersey Joe showed up to the 40-yard dash, by the way. Remember that?
That's true.
A table right here where we don't ask our bosses or corporate or anybody for permission. We just do it, and then whatever happens.
Do you want to get sued, Cole?
Yeah. Look, what are they going to sue me for? And us right here, I mean, the hot dog eating contest, who can knock off Jersey? I mean, I think our Tolos would absolutely love that.
I just got a text from Alex Guest. He said, "There's no way you're beating me."
I think I could. I think I could.
I would invite both of you to Google "hold your Wii for a Wii" and see what happens when you don't get corporate involved, when you don't get rules and laws involved in radio contests.
That's no fun to get them
No, it's
involved.
no fun.
And it's not a contest. It's not a contest. It's just
It's a competition.
No, it's not a competition. We're just what we're
lunch.
doing is we're eating lunch. Yeah. There you go. We are eating lunch with our Tolos. Nothing against them coming in the building if invited. We're eating lunch. And, oh, by the way, just so happened Diesel timed it on a stopwatch.
Yeah, that's all. Just lunch. That's all.
That's right. There's lunch. Let's have lunch. Hey, thanks for the call, Jersey
Thanks, Joe.
I like it. I'm on the ask for forgiveness later train. We don't need permission and bosses and no, screw all that. We're having lunch, and while we're having lunch, Diesel says, "Hey, I bet you couldn't eat that hot dog in 5 minutes," or all 10 hot dogs that just happened to be there. We need 20. We need 20 dollars. Would you do it? Would you try to go up against Joe?
No.
You wouldn't? No, come on.
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it.
Why?
I wouldn't do it.
You know how funny that'd be? By the way, on the text line, the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Let's see. A lot of texts coming in. Oh, man. Let's see. Let's go back down and get back to the Dewey conversation. Eric from Boiling Springs says, following up to Dewey, the chassis for the Thomas school bus is made in Gaffney. Just a bit of useless information. Is that
really?
Right?
How about that?
Chassis for the Thomas school bus is made in Gaffney.
Aren't most school buses Thomas?
Is that in Freightliner? I don't know. That's interesting. Interesting text. Joey says, I want in on. See, I'm telling you, this might be the most epic thing we ever did on the radio. Joey says he wants in. Bobby texts in and says, driving into and out of Greenville this week from Spartanburg has been terrible. 0 out of 10. Don't recommend. Hey, Bobby, try doing it every day, twice a day. Come on. Every day. I'm with you. I live in Spartanburg. I live in Boiling Springs, and I drive to Greenville. That's why it sucks.
Why don't you just move to Greenville?
No, thanks. Well, is Odyssey going to pay for me to move to Greenville? You think that'll happen? Let's see.
Rent down here is too high.
Yeah, texter from the 346 says, oh, I got this. I can eat an extra large pizza in about 2.5 minutes.
No,
There's
you
no
can't.
way.
No, you can't.
No shot.
This is Joey. This is Joey.
Oh, this
says
is
he
Joey.
can eat extra large pizza in 2.5 minutes. That's a lot. There's no way your stomach can expand from like this to that in 2.5 minutes. There's no way.
You know what? I think what we're doing is, in this very segment, I think what we're doing is we're creating a food war. Again, it's not a contest. It's not a challenge. I think we're on to something here. I think our Tolos would love, pizza. You know, there's guys that do it professionally on YouTube and stuff, but it's never been done with local radio before. Hot dogs, one month, right? Pizza the next. What else? What other kind of foods?
Wings.
That's good. I like that. I love
grape
wings.
Leaves.
No thanks. No thanks.
Olives?
He says no thanks. I'll pass. Let's see. Texter from the 502 says, I did 10 dogs with buns and 424 over the fourth at the contest. I'm timed. Tolo Yardbird, call to move to the Duncan area. It's halfway. I used to live in Duncan, and I would consider that Yardbird.
It would also save you some time on commute going to Burns.
I've thought about it. It's just, I love where I live. But I no kidding, Tolo Yardbird. I have seriously thought about moving back to Duncan just to give it.
That'd save you about 15 interstate miles, 30 miles a day, every day.
Be a lot. Save me a lot. Yeah. Jarrett Tripp says, I drive from Liberty to Greer every day for work. I'd much rather drive from Spartanburg to Greenville. Liberty to Greer. That's a stretch, right?
My wife drives Malden to Seneca every day.
That's a long way. What is that, an hour?
Yep.
Hour and a half?
Yeah, about an hour.
Tolo says, just call it the Tolo Appreciation Cookout. See, there you go. Now we're solving our problems. We're figuring out how to go and cheat the system. We're figuring out how to get away with things we shouldn't be doing. Texter says, this is Joey. Let's get 3 or 4 Tolos with Jersey Joe and make this happen. I think we could do it. I really do. Keith in TR says this segment is going to create a Tolo obesity problem. Goodness gracious, the texts are flying in.
We'll have to have a Tolo CrossFit class.
Tolo CrossFit. So after the Tolo contest of the what they call it, the Tolo Appreciation Cookout, then we'll start on the weight loss competition. We'll see who can. New Year's comes around, Diesel. Then we'll worry about weight loss. By the way, I might get smoked by Jersey Joe, but I'd love to give it a shot. I think I could hang with him. You got to take the buns off, dip the buns in the drink, eat the hot dog wiener by itself, and then you come back and eat the buns. I think that's how Jersey Joe does it.
Is that the strategy? All right.
That's what Joey Chestnut does.
Our Tolo takeover is so busy, Cole. You and I didn't even get to do ours, but that's okay because we're here every day doing the Tolo takeover.
What was yours, real quick?
Screw the Masters for running John Daly out of his spot.
Oh, Hooters?
Yeah, Hooters. Hooters is closed.
They should have invested into that, right?
Right. They should have made it the most upscale, nicest Hooters ever. But they didn't. They're gonna bulldoze it. They're gonna turn it into some bougie private drive up to the backside of the club. So those folks who are putting tens of thousands of dollars into their Masters VIP packages don't have to drive down the main roads with all the filthy normal people who go to the Masters.
So it's funny. Mine last week was the dogs in restaurants, how I can't stand it.
Yep.
That happened on Tuesday. I ranted about it on Thursday, and then it happened to me again on Saturday.
Last Friday evening, Ashley and I went down to a spot in Greenville right next to the Drive Stadium. You may know the spot. It's a bunch of shipping containers stacked on top of one another.
Yeah, I like it.
And a lady put her dog, like a little small dog, on the counter while she was ordering food.
Oh, my gosh.
Standing on the counter.
Did you shoot the lady?
I wasn't carrying.
You should have shot her.
Well, it's illegal for me to carry and drink, so I didn't do it.
Well, that's true too, but my goodness. Enough of that. That happened to me again on Saturday.
Bartender never once said, "Hey, lady, get your filthy dog off the counter." They don't
have the you-know-whats to say anything. I can't stand it. Don't get me started. Diesel, since you're a big Swiftie, right?
Huge. Love
Taylor Swift last night broke the internet. She was on the new Heights podcast. The best audio from that next. Well, we know that all of you Tolos out there are big Taylor Swift fans, right? Crickets. Maybe you're not. Okay, I'm not either. I don't think Diesel is the biggest Swiftie.
I like the one where she sings about breaking up with her boyfriend.
Is that all of them?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. That's what
so I kind of like all of them.
Yeah, that's true. You're a Swiftie. Congratulations. Yeah. So last night, Taylor Swift was on New Heights, the podcast with Travis and Jason. Look, while
that
I'm
sounds
not
more like a rehab house.
It could be somewhere.
A
it
rehab
might
center.
Be. Diesel, while I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, last night was hilarious. Hearing Taylor Swift talk about football and her learning the game, it's comical. I've got 3 clips of audio. But for those of you Tolos out there that didn't get to hear it, go back and watch it. It's on YouTube. It's really, really funny. It really is. She just admits she's an open book when it comes to what she didn't know. But you know what? It's funny to us because we know football. We know sports. Here's the first clip of audio. Let's react. First clip on New Heights last night.
On our first date, I legitimately asked him what it was like when the Chiefs played the Eagles in the Super Bowl and he looked across the field, across the line of scrimmage and saw his brother standing on the other, like 5 feet in front of him on the field.
Yeah.
And he was like, he didn't even look at me. Like, I now know what an insane question that was. He was like, actually, I'm on the offense and my brother's on the offense and I'm only on the field at the same time as defense. I thought everyone was out there at the same time. No, you don't understand. I thought it was like Jared Goff is here and Josh Allen's here. Yeah. And they're going to be like, they blow a whistle and then they go at each other and they're like, and it's like, who's going to win?
So first clip, Taylor Swift asked Travis, her boyfriend, what it was like lining up literally across the line of scrimmage from Jason Kelce and the Super Bowl. Fair enough. They're on different teams, right? So it's not super dumb, but Diesel, the problem is with that, as you heard in the video, they're both on offense. So she didn't know. She didn't know how offense and defense worked.
At least she knows what a quarterback is. I'll give her that
and you
much.
know, we joke about it, but how many, no offense, how many women out there that are not engaged with sports will actually know that? Like, I mean, if you're married or your wife is a sports watcher or a sports fan, of course they know, but there's a lot of people, including men, who don't watch sports and wouldn't know. So they say, oh, I learned something new today. It's funny, but yeah, they do play on the same side of the ball, so they wouldn't be on the field together. Here's the other. Here's the second clip from last night.
I didn't know what a first down was. I didn't know what the chains were. I didn't know what a tight end was.
I am forever thankful for you diving into the football world.
We're talking about cover 2, cover 4, cover 0, man cover. We're talking. We're learning. I continue to learn.
Maybe somebody else that even knows what those coverages are.
Yeah, I'm not ready to be an analyst right now, but give me 16 months.
So how many people out there that don't know football think, Diesel, do you think could learn cover 2, cover 3? I mean, I'm surprised she even got that far.
I mean, she knows the vocabulary words.
She knows the vocabulary, right?
She may not know exactly what they mean. She knows the words, and that's a start, right? You gotta dip your pinky toe in. But oh my God, it's incredibly boring hearing Taylor Swift talk about football. Incredibly boring.
You think so?
Oh, it's terrible.
I find it fascinating.
Really?
It does. It's someone who is not in the football world, never has been, learning about it. It's funny to me. It's fascinating to me. I only have one more clip though, so you won't be bored much longer. This is the last one. Oh, by the way, how long until Taylor Swift becomes an analyst?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, now
if they wanted to market this thing,
now she's putting it out there, right? So I mean, we have the Nickelodeon broadcasts, we had the Toy Story broadcasts. What happens when, I don't know, E! Entertainment says, you know what? Let's hire Taylor Swift to do analysis, and we'll put the game on entertainment channel.
Like they do Nickelodeon and the NFL, right? Something like that. Is that what you said?
Did you get bored and space out?
No, I didn't hear you say Nickelodeon.
I did say Nickelodeon.
I thought you said another channel.
I said Nickelodeon. I said the Toy Story.
Yeah.
Anyway.
it sounds like far-fetched, but somebody could make a lot of money doing that. You know how many people would watch that broadcast?
It's not about putting on a great broadcast. It's about knowing that you can market to the 14-year-old to like 40-year-old female demographic by having a broadcast where it's just Taylor Swift.
I'm telling you, you would absolutely, football tolos out there are probably thinking, oh, Cole, that's the dumbest thing in the world. But I'm telling you, the amount of eyeballs that Taylor Swift already brought to the NFL just because she dates Travis Kelce.
See, the thing is, it's not for you, Jim, who's 45 years old and has a beer gut. It's not for you. It's for your daughters and your wives. Yeah. And if that's what it takes, look, I mean, a lot of guys wish that their wives and daughters and kids would be more into the things that they like. You do things together as a family. If that's what it takes, go for it.
I can only imagine, Diesel, the videos we'd see on social media of the dad in one room watching the original broadcast, and then the mom and the daughter in the other room watching probably wouldn't be on Nickelodeon, but whoever decides to do it. You know what? I don't know if anybody's thought about this, but I need some money because I deserve a little bit of credit for this. I mean, if this happens, it would make so much money.
They can put it on Bravo Channel, have Taylor Swift and Leo Skeppy do it. Leo Skeppy is this YouTuber. He's a really intense Italian guy, or maybe he's Polish. I'm not sure, but he's also blatantly homosexual. And he switches kind of between the characters back to back, and it's hysterical. So if you don't know who he is, he's staring you in the face. It looks kind of intimidating, like, oh, this guy's a gangster. And then he just switches to, no, I'm super soft.
So I'll tell you what they should do. Since it's all about these big networks, right? Just say, screw it. We're going to do it on YouTube. And let's just see how many, because you laugh, you think, oh, that's funny. That's real cute. You couldn't do a game on YouTube.
Why not?
How many people would watch a Taylor Swift football game?
Did you know that a couple of years ago when Conference USA made the terrible decision to break away from ESPN and go do their own thing when it came to their media rights deals, it got so bad that they were broadcasting games live on Facebook.
That's unbelievable.
That's how bad it got. Live streaming on Facebook for Division I FBS college football games.
That's rough. One more clip from last night with the Swiftie. For you Swifties out there.
There's so much pressure on these players that I kind of was like, I've only ever been in music and been like, seeing that. But the pressure on sports is just such a different type that I have such a respect for everyone. Like everyone I meet on his team, like everyone I see doing this, I'm just like, you've been focused on this since you were a kid. And it shows.
That's one thing that I took away from watching just that clip and a couple others, Diesel, that Taylor Swift, somebody who obviously has not been in the football world, I find it fascinating to hear from somebody that's in a completely different world, because obviously Taylor Swift, what she's done is impressive, right? I mean, she's probably the most popular artist on planet Earth, Diesel, but for somebody outside of the football world to have that kind of admiration, respect for football players, it does, like, we're so consumed with the sport every day. We're so used to talking about the high pressure moments and things like that. It's amazing when you just remind yourself, like, yeah, you know what? She's right. Ultimately, yeah, they are getting paid millions and millions of dollars, but the pressure, especially in the NFL, the pressure that's on some of these athletes, it's crazy. So I guess my biggest takeaway is I enjoy, and there's a lot more you can go back and find on YouTube. I enjoy hearing from somebody who's not in the sports world something that I maybe hadn't thought about before, just because I'm always around it. I'm always used to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why a lot of times celebrities date and marry other celebrities, because they can kind of understand what you're going through, whether it's actors and actors, musicians and musicians, athletes. They know what the other person is going through, and a lay person, they just can't. They can't understand what it is you're going through to do your profession, especially at the highest level. Cole, tomorrow, the hammer might drop on the University of Michigan.
Uh-oh.
We're going to find out something big on tomorrow's show, but we'll go back through what's going on Everything we know at this point, that's coming up next. Well, by this time tomorrow, Buckeye Mike and Buckeye Brian and everybody else who's ever texted into the show with the letters OH will either be thrilled, laughing their butts off, or just like shrugging their hands like, of course they got away with it. What am I talking about?
What are you talking
about? Tomorrow, there are plans from the NCAA to publicly announce its findings and punishments as a result of the Connor Stalions sign-stealing scandal. We will finally have an answer of did they do it, how bad was it, and who's going to get the hammer dropped on them. So the Committee on Infractions panel will make a recommendation for punishments that they will have to accept.
Is anybody getting fired for this?
I don't know. Like,
Y'all need to be fired.
they've already suspended Sharon Moore for 2 games this year. We kind of forgot that was a thing, right? Sharon Moore punished for the Central Michigan game and the follow-up game against Nebraska. It's not even weeks 1 and 2. This is a self-imposed punishment.
Yeah.
It's weeks 3 and 4. It allows Sharon Moore to coach against his alma mater, Oklahoma, because Michigan is going to play Oklahoma in week 2. So the question is, like, do we really think there's going to be anything that comes of this? Do we really think the NCAA is going to drop the hammer on Michigan for something that happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
I am going to answer your question and say no. I don't expect anything to happen. I mean, who does out there? Who expects the competent, strong-willed, backbone-filled NCAA to do anything? No. My whole thing is if something hadn't come of this by now, I don't think it will. I mean, this has been several years, and I know they had to do an investigation, and we get all that, but if they hadn't had any punishment by now, I don't think they will.
Well, it was a couple of years ago that Charlie Baker basically came out and said that Michigan won the national championship fair and square.
Sure.
That they didn't do anything wrong. Maybe Connor Stalions did go, watch a couple of games, maybe, which is illegal, but he had family members and he had friends go watch a couple of games. That part of it's not illegal. That's not an NCAA infraction. My conspiracy brain though says that if the answer was going to be, we've come to our conclusion and our conclusion is nothing happened and we're just going to let this thing go, put it to bed once and for all, then they would have just come out and said that. But the fact that they're setting a date and time for when we're going to get this information, maybe that points to the fact that some additional punishment is going to come down. I mean, I don't expect it to be significant.
Yeah.
I could see it be like a 5 scholarship reduction over the next 5 years. So that's 1 guy per season is not going to be on scholarship. I think it's just going to be a giant slap on the wrist. It's going to be punitive enough that the entirety of college football says, okay, well, at least they did something, but it's not going to be so bad that Michigan will hold this over their heads forever.
So you don't think the NCAA is going to come out and just...
No, they're not going to get
You don't see that happening? You don't see it?
They're not going to SMU them.
You sure? No, I'm with you on that. They're to your point about a slap on the wrist kind of violation. Maybe so. Maybe we could. But here's the point. It's August 14th. Tomorrow's August 15th, Diesel.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be no. It's nothing. It's not going to impact their season whatsoever. So the Ohio State fans that you were talking about, I'd hold your breath.
Sorry, Buckeye Mike.
I just don't see it.
Let's see. Tolo Yardbird says, keep it on Nickelodeon. He's talking about, the potential idea for a Taylor Swift broadcast. Says, keep it on Nickelodeon. Taylor Swift and John Cena, that would get some huge news.
Gosh.
Like every teenage boy, girl, and Lonzo would be watching that. That's for sure.
That would be weird. Like super weird.
Didn't John Cena flip back? I don't even know.
I don't know. You're
the
wrestling
back to not being.
You're the
not
wrestling
being
expert on the show, Diesel.
RJ says there's high school football from Georgia on national TV tonight. Number 11 Milton at number 12 Buford. 7:00.
Oh, that's the new stadium. That's the new.
Is it? Oh, I remember that. The bougie stadium.
Oh, the millions and millions and Millions.
This is
millions.
the school that has their own nice JV stadium. They don't even play JV and varsity on the same field.
Yeah, this was circulating Twitter and Facebook like a month ago, Buford's new stadium. So I didn't know. Yeah, you turn it on tonight just to see the stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, for a high school football team, are you kidding me? That's insane, isn't it?
And then you'll be comparing Buford's new stadium to Burns' new stadium on the show tomorrow.
Well, it shouldn't fair. I won't be at Burns tomorrow,
No,
but I'll be at Burns next week. And Burns' new press box, I was in it today. I'll be in it next week. I'll be live from Gaffney tomorrow for a big jamboree. But I will say, Burns' this new stadium's nice. It really is. It's something to look at. Diesel, let's hop back into it. Our national championship predictions. Who do we have winning it all? We'll dive right back into that next on the Fan Up Stage.